Breaking news right here at 5 on WHAS11 News. In the ongoing case of Crystal Rogers in Bardstown, Brooks Houck and his defense team late today filing for a change of venue in the murder case of the Bardstown mother.
These new court documents just into the newsroom in the last hour. Rogers was last seen 4th of July weekend of 2015 on Houck family property in Nelson County. Well, Houck and his team now claim they cannot get a fair trial in that county or anywhere in central Kentucky because of all of the media coverage the case has received. They are requesting a change of venue, just like they said they would, either to Boyd or Daviess County, citing similar demographics to Nelson County, but no, quote, pattern of deep and bitter prejudice against Brooks Houck. Right now, Houck is charged with 2 other men, Steve and Joseph Lawson, in connection to the death of Crystal Rogers. Today's request comes just days after Steve Lawson's attorney asked for his charges to be dropped completely. They claim Lawson was promised immunity in exchange for his testimony. Both of these motions will be heard when all 3 men appear in court on March 21st. That trial is tentatively set for February of next year.
The other big story we're following at 5, a former Kentucky police chief in court today facing criminal charges and entering a not guilty plea. The former Bloomfield police chief, Harry Steve Cameron, and the city clerk were fired by the mayor last May.
Well, that led to the resignation of several other city employees and a demand for answers from residents. Jose Alonso and photojournalist Jessica Farley give us a deeper look at how today's arraignment has played out.
The former Bloomfield police chief Steve Cameron appeared at the Nelson County Justice Center today, where his defense questioned one of the felony charges brought against him. This arraignment was quick, but we did hear an official date on the pretrial and jury trial as well. We caught up with the attorney to see how this case is going to move forward. Just last year, Harry Steve Cameron was fired from his position by the city mayor, along with the city clerk in May. This comes as authorities claim Cameron knowingly lied about an employee trading sexual favors for overdue bills and stealing funds from the city for personal purchases.
Obviously, Mr. Cameron was chief of police, and he was doing what he was hired to do and what police officers do. And he was doing it properly according to what the information is that I have. So we're going to present all that in court at the appropriate time.
In the body, it says attempted to withhold information.
Cameron's attorney, Thomas Clay, pointed out to the judge that a Class D felony charge on tampering with evidence brought against his client isn't under the district's court jurisdiction.
This is the lowest level felony under the Kentucky Penal Code. Tampering with physical evidence carries 1 to 5 years in the penitentiary. If a person is charged with attempting to commit that crime, then it becomes a misdemeanor.
Clay plans to discuss this charge with the Commonwealth prosecutor. Cameron's termination led to a public demand for answers in Bloomfield, and his attorney hopes to shed light in an upcoming trial.
I'm not sure exactly how things got to this point. That's something that we're going to get into and hopefully get a more complete picture of that.
Cameron is also facing 2 other charges of falsely reporting an incident and official misconduct in the first degree, all to which he entered a not guilty plea. In Nelson County, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Cameron's defense will now examine evidence obtained by those prosecutors.
And a pretrial in this case is set to take place on June 7th and then a jury trial on June 24th. More local news here tonight. We have a big update today from the ATF. They've announced that they will be destroying the automatic rifle used in the Old National Bank mass shooting here in Louisville. It is a move that both the victims and the shooter's family have been asking for. Last year, the shooter, Connor Sturgeon, used that rifle to kill 5 people and injure several others at the bank in downtown Louisville. He was shot and killed by police. The federal agency received the weapon for their investigation, and now that that investigation is finished, the destruction of the rifle has been authorized. The Sturgeon family released a statement in the days afterwards saying that they are working with the ATF to ensure that the assault rifle is legally destroyed. But there was a chance that the gun could have been sold off at auction. After the ATF completed its investigation, the agency could have sent the gun to Kentucky State Police. According to Kentucky law, all guns confiscated by a state or local law enforcement agency, including those used in crimes, are required to be turned over to Kentucky State Police. KSP then sells those guns to federally licensed firearms dealers at public auctions. Now there's new legislation looking to require KSP to destroy guns used in violent crimes. Senate Bill 178 would allow the destruction of confiscated firearms used in violent offenses, but the measure hasn't seen much movement so far. It's been in committee for the past month. The ATF says the rifle used in the Old National Bank shooting will be destroyed by March 15th. More news tonight at 5. It's been nearly 1 year since the U.S. Department of Justice released its scathing report finding systemic problems within Louisville, a pattern and practice of police violating people's constitutional rights.
On that day, March 8th, 2023, city leaders and the DOJ agreed to make reforms. And now we enter the next step of that agreement. Senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez is here now. Isaiah, you say it really doesn't get much easier from here.
Well, Shay, Doug, certainly not. Let's call this phase 3 of this process. First, of course, we had the DOJ's investigation that started back in 2021. Then a year ago, their report. Now, as of late last month, the negotiations for a federal consent decree are happening right now. It's a settlement with the federal government, a document listing reforms Louisville agrees to spend millions of its own dollars to fund. The goal is to make Metro Police more equitable. These negotiations between city leaders and the DOJ on the terms of the deal are vital. They dictate how long Louisville will be monitored to ensure they're making progress. And as LMPD Deputy Chief Paul Humphrey tells me, they can't afford an agreement that prevents officers from doing their jobs.
The dirty little secret about consent decrees is they don't do anything. The Department of Justice will not come in here and do a single thing in the city of Louisville. The people that work here for Louisville Metro Government and the Louisville Metro Police Department are the ones that are going to do the work. We have a lot of work to do to make sure that that document is written in a way that we can do our jobs properly and reinforces us doing our jobs properly.
And as we've reported, consent decrees have done a lot of good in cities like New Orleans, where we visited last summer, to change the culture within police agencies for the better. But on the flip side, they cost millions of local dollars annually and often leave departments with that same officer shortage or larger than before. And coming up right here at 6 tonight, Louisville's mayor tells me he's looking at finding other ways to help foot this bill, and why a prominent leader in the city's West End tells me he's nervous for what's ahead. Shay.
All right, Isaiah, thanks so much for that update. Well, new information today in the murder for hire case involving a Louisville pediatrician. Lawyers for Dr. Stephanie Russell filed new court documents revealing she allegedly wanted to put a death spell on her ex-husband. Russell's accused of trying to pay a hitman $7,000 to kill her ex, Rick Crabtree. That happened in 2022. She used the code word Christmas flowers when referring to the hit. The hitman turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. Well, now new court documents show Russell wanted to put a death spell on her ex after he was awarded full custody of their 2 kids. Russell claims he was abusing the children. She messaged a woman who described herself as a spiritual healer on WhatsApp, asking for help to kill the man using supernatural means, according to the court documents. The healer said her spells have an 85% death rate and would work within 5 hours. Well, Russell's defense team filed these new documents today, hoping to show Miss Russell's state of mind. Russell's trial is now scheduled for April 22nd.
We now know the identity of the man who was killed in a South Louisville incident early this morning. Louisville Metro Police say about 4:15, 42-year-old Calvin Ray Bloyd was outside his car on Fern Valley Road when he was hit by a car. That car drove off in this hit-and-run incident. Police say a second vehicle, a pickup truck, also hit the man later. That driver stayed at the scene. Metro Police say Bloyd was taken to University Hospital where he died. Anyone who can help detectives with information regarding this crash can call the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD.
Lots of clouds out there across Kentuckiana today. The entire day, Doug, I felt like we've been on the verge of rain.
And it was colder too. I had to put on the jacket and walk around. You're right, it was a little damp. So Colleen Peterson is joining us now as we are getting ready for the Friday deluge.
Yeah, it is going to be multiple rounds of rain that we're watching. It was pretty cloudy today. Did not see any rain, and on that radar, there is no rain out there. So the clouds are fooling us a little bit, but we have some showers that's going to be making its way overnight tonight off to the southwest. You can see that first round of rain will be heading off to Kentucky and Indiana here as we head overnight tonight. So that's really past midnight. Maybe around 11 o'clock we'll start to see some sprinkles, but tomorrow morning expect widespread rain. Here's the next 16 hours. So from now until midnight, we're going to stay dry, just cloudy. Temperatures staying in the 50s because those clouds aren't budging it at all. Right now we're at 59 degrees here at the All International, 57 in Bowman, 56 in E-Town. A little chilly out there. Now once we head overnight tonight, that first round will head our way with some widespread showers tomorrow morning, and then it's going to be off and on. So have that umbrella on standby throughout your whole day on Friday. That second wave Friday evening, and then that third and final one is Saturday morning. This is with that actual cold front. That's that time where we could maybe see a few downpours around 9 o'clock in the morning, but most of those showers will be starting to clear out by the time we head towards 3 p.m. We're also talking about a big cool down as we head towards Saturday afternoon. I'll tell you how cold it's going to be for that St. Patrick's Day parade coming up. Shay?
All right, Colleen, thank you so much. Developing this afternoon, the Bardstown Road Bar, where a man was shot and killed over the weekend, is now voluntarily giving up their late-night liquor license. Councilman Ben Reno Weber shared the update just a few hours ago, telling us that Cafe 360 will temporarily give up their 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. license for 6 months. On Sunday night, the owner said a fight escalated, leading to a deadly shooting. Well, now they're working with the city to mitigate future violence. Councilman Reno Weber also said the bar is committed to hiring private security. Right now, there have not been any arrests in this case. If you have any information, call police.
Well, this move comes as a new ordinance could suspend a business's liquor license in Louisville after violent incidents at late-night bars. City leaders have been tossing around the idea for months about limiting when businesses can sell alcohol and how late. The proposal would allow Louisville's ABC to issue immediate emergency license suspensions in cases where there's a threat to public safety, health, or welfare across the county. Current law gives the authority to the state ABC only. An amended version of this ordinance includes current state language, creating a set of conditions that would allow Louisville's ABC to immediately shut down the business, and they include situations involving firearm use or violations that lead to a death.
To make sure that this language was both fair to bar and restaurant owners, but also, took into consideration the issue, which is violence.
Metro Council is set to vote on the ordinance during their next full council meeting.